here we have the FX X-Wing, which was the first big X-Wing that was made. On the underside, you'll see this trigger mechanism, which kind of distinguishes it from the rest. It's Luke's X-Wing. But I want to focus on these two areas right here where the screw holes are. They're inside these triangular areas, and you'll notice they're not quite straight across. So that's what we're going to focus on for identifying which stand we need. Okay, next I just wanted to go through all of the X-Wings that share the same configuration of the FX. So including the FX, there are 5 X-Wings in this mold with that whole configuration. I have 3 here. The first one I do not have an example of loose. The first one was Luke's Dagobah X-Wing. It came in the blue package during the Attack of the Clones era. Looks very similar to this one, except the engines are darker, but you'll see that. So they made Luke's in the Dagobah in the blue box. Then they made Red Leader's X-Wing in the same blue box during the Attack of the Clones. Easiest ways to look at the wings. 1 mark means Red 1, Rogue One, so that's Red Leader. So Red Leader's in this group. The next one was the Toys R Us Dagobah exclusive. Now this one was in a box and it had swamp all over it, swamp pieces and like a creature. My loose one does not have the swamp pieces, so this is what it looks like with the swamp pieces off. But we know that this is Luke's because we've got 5 red marks on the wings. So that was Red 5, or Rogue 5. Last in this group is the Toys R Us exclusive Wedge Antilles X-Wing. Wedge has 2 marks for Rogue 2. And he's got a different paint scheme. They all have different paint schemes, but these are the 5 X-Wings that will get the parts for our stand that we're going to denote as Stand 1. Okay, so now we have to talk about the second group. There was a mold change done in 2011. I won't go into the details of all the mold change, but the important part of the mold change are these little holes that we're dealing with here. These holes on this one are just above this cargo bay and they're straight across from each other. The other ones were in the triangles. They moved these screw holes down. So that's why we have to have a separate stand for this grouping. So I just wanted to show that. The mold change happened in 2011. The first X-Wing with this mold change was the Death Star Trench Run X-Wing. It was in a 2-pack with the TIE Advanced. Then the next X-Wing was the Vintage Collection Biggs Darklighter X-Wing, which is represented here. 3 hash marks on the wing. He's got a different paint scheme, but that you guys can look these up. There's several websites where you can look these up, but we're just trying to make it easy for you here. After Biggs, they made a Vintage Collection Luke Skywalker. Finally, Antok Merrick from Rogue One. Antok Merrick's X-Wing is blue. Probably the easiest one to identify. Well, maybe the second easiest to identify, but he was made Vintage Collection. He's got the same mold in this group, so there's 4 X-Wings with these whole configurations. Okay, so finally we have the last big X-Wing. Now, let me re-emphasize, these are the big X-Wings. This stand is not designed, these stands are not designed for the original mold. And I know that in the 90s, going into the early 2000s, they did make original mold X-Wings. We'll probably do something with that later. But this is posed. This is the third stand that we built for the wall. You can't mistake this one. He's bright orange. I'll show you the bottom here. He simply has a single hole above the cargo bay, right in the middle. But I don't think anybody's going to get confused with Poe because he's so different. Alright, so just to emphasize and to go back, we had 5 X-Wings that take stand number 1. That was Luke FX, We had Luke and Red Leader from Attack of the Clones. We had the Toys R Us Luke Dagobah, and then we had Wedge Antilles. Those all get stand number 1. Trench Run, Biggs Darklighter, Luke from the Vintage Collection, and Antok Merrick all get stand number 2. And then the third one is Poe, which no one's going to get confused with that one. So that's the third stand. The bolt and the spring-loaded securing bracket that are supplied with this mounting stand make it possible to attach the stand between the studs of a hollow interior drywall surface. Do not drill into any wall without first determining if there are plumbing pipes or electrical wiring within the wall. Serious damage or injury may result if this precaution is not taken. Alright, so here we have the X-Wing wall mount. This is for the large X-Wings. First, I just want to go through how everything kind of goes together. You're going to have a stand like this. Once it's all put together, you're going to have these mounts. They're going to slot in according to these slots. And this is going to change depending on the direction that you want the X-Wing to go. So this is going to orientate the X-Wing right. But if I reverse these, then I can send the X-Wing facing left. Now all three stands are going to be very similar, and they're all going to go together the same way for all three different X-Wing styles. All they do, they're all going to peg in to the bottom of the X-Wing in certain configurations. I'm just using Pose as an example. They're going to peg into the bottom like so. And then we have the slot, and we're going to slot it onto our toggle bolt on the wall. And of course we can always turn them, and we'll show you that here in a second. Okay, so here we have the pieces to the wall mounts. And if you guys get into a situation like we have, where we have all three on the wall, sometimes it can get a little confusing. So what we tried to do was we tried to mark these. So this is stand number 1, and you can see the number 1 hash mark on both pieces. Stand number 2 for the second group of X-Wings has 2 hash marks. Pretty self-explanatory on both pieces. And then finally, the third configuration has, if you can see them, the 3 hash marks denoting stand number 3. And once again, if you have any questions at all, you can always contact us. You can send me a message through Facebook, through Central Illinois Toys, and we can help you figure out which X-Wing that you have. So once we're here, we take our slot on our toggle bolt that's already on the wall, and we slot down, and now our X-Wing's on the wall. And of course, you can fly it down, you can fly it up, and of course left and right. 45 to 45 down and up is about the range we like to go for.